Black families are homeschooling at levels higher than ever before. Recently, we interviewed homeschooling parents, grads, and family members about homeschooling with the help of Remake Learning's Shifting Powers Research Project. Here's what they said.
My name is Ebony Jackson, and I am 34 years old. So our homeschooling family is made up of my husband and I and our 6 children. Our youngest. So we decided to homeschool because we really wanted our children to have a strong biblical and spiritual foundation, and that's not really found in schools. So we wanted them to also have those basic building blocks of character. So it was important for us to instill in them honesty, being responsible, having self-control and things like that. So we really focus on that in the early years of schooling. So our homeschooling household is different than other homeschooling households because we build our curriculum and we also utilize different places in the city a lot. So I'll ask my children at the beginning of the year, what are some things that you're interested in? And they'll tell me something like, this year my daughter told me she wants to be a baker. She's into cooking and wants to cook. So, I'll go out and find places where she can instill that love and that curiosity. So I'll call up a bakery and say, hey, is there someone we can talk to about baking? My daughter's into baking. And 9 times out of 10, I'll get a response and we'll be able to go to a place like that. So we utilize not only our home and the box curriculums that we may purchase, but we also utilize the resources around the city. The single largest factor into us homeschooling would be based on our faith and our spiritual outlook. So we really want our children to have that core knowledge and information. And you get that from being family oriented. A lot of that is from being in our family, being close with their siblings and other families who have similar thought processes. And yeah, that's the biggest thing for us, for them to understand who they are. Okay, so it'd be 5th grade, 3rd grade, 1st grade, kindergarten, preschool, and then I have my soon-to-be toddler who we work with him too, even though we don't have to technically register him to the state. He definitely gets a lot of homeschooling done along with his siblings. Okay, so a typical homeschool day for us looks like us getting up, well after all the school buses are done traveling around our house. So we're up around 9 a.m. We have breakfast together and we menu plan together at the beginning of the week. So the children kind of pick out the foods that they want to have. So they're pretty much, it's continental. They're able to pick up what they want and they get the things that they need. I start our circle time music. We still do circle time together, even though my oldest is in 5th grade. We'll do a lot of memory work together. So we'll play the poem or we'll cite the poem that we're learning that month. The math fact families, a song of that nature for about 30 minutes. And then our children do their independent work. And And I'll work with my little ones. So while my oldest is doing what they can do on their own, I'm working with my little ones. I like to call it filling their cups first because they always want mommy's attention. Right? And then I work with my older ones if they have any questions. As my older ones get older, we do a lot of like cyber learning. I know. We do a lot of cyber learning. He does not want to listen. Oh, here. Can you hold that? Maybe I can find something in mommy's purse that you can play with. I'm sorry. So we do a lot of cyber learning with the older ones. They're able to go at their own pace. Right? Come here. They're able to go at their own pace. And if they have questions, I'm there to kind of guide them through their questions. So that's usually what their core subjects, just math and reading. And then after around about 2:00, school is done. We don't do any more instructional learning. Mommy is off. Grading is done. They go outside for about an hour or so to play. Or if it's raining or something, they will stay indoors. And then we all take a nap. Or if you don't want to sleep, it's quiet time. Mommy needs a break. That was a lot for mommy. And then we wake up, do some instructional learning, constructive play. So they might be getting their Legos out. Some of my daughters like to draw. My son's building things with his little robotics thing. So that'll be time for them to do that. We have dinner and then we go to bed. Do it all over again. Yeah. It took me a couple of years to feel content in my homeschooling day. So I have 6 children, and in the beginning of my homeschooling journey, obviously there were less children. So making the decision to homeschool was more so a concept. It wasn't something that I knew what it would look like for sure. So my, as a lot of people like to call it, I was building a plane while flying it at the same time. With my youngest, I had a desk for him. We had a lot of posters on the board. I would stand up and instruct him. Mind you, he's like literally 4 or 5 years old. So I'm like the teacher. He's sitting down. Like it was I very much tried to mimic a schoolhouse situation. But over the years, I realized, and after talking to a lot of other homeschooling moms and doing a lot of research on YouTube, it could be a lot more laid back. It didn't have to be as formal as I was trying to make it. So I would say it took me a couple of years to feel comfortable, but now that I've found my stride, I do whatever I want, when I want, how I want, why I want to do it. It's all in how I want to do that. But I feel like with more people homeschooling now, other mothers and families might find it easier they may find their stride faster than it took me because there's so many more resources out there than when I started out literally almost 10 years ago. So, yeah. The reason why I decided to homeschool is what keeps me going when times get hard. So my why is I want to give them a strong foundation as to who they are and what they represent, and give them the tools to build up their confidence so that when they are in places where it requires them to just be without their parents, they have that confidence and that security and that knowledge that I'm not only representing myself, I'm representing my family, I'm representing my community, not in a pressure way, but just know that I am expected to be an upstanding type citizen. And I feel like that lacks a lot in schools. So when it gets hard and, people don't want to get up on time, or someone wants to sleep in until noon, people are arguing with whatever reasons why we want to stop homeschooling and send our children away the next day. I remember my why, and that's what keeps it going. Homeschooling has changed me as an individual in many ways. One that stands out the most right now is my love of learning. Like, I didn't even know I liked to learn until I started homeschooling my children. And I think that's one of the things that the school system and teachers miss is teaching a child the way that they like to learn. So all throughout, grade school and into college, I was really just trying to force myself to learn the way that the teacher probably liked to learn, or the way that they were taught to teach. But now I have the freedom and no stress to learn, and I love to learn. And I think it's contagious that my children now love to learn new things. And, we'll take a subject and we'll read about it, but then we'll also find YouTube videos about it. But then we'll also build that thing that we're learning, or find a structure that was built by someone. We're touching on all aspects of learning, and it makes it fun. Like, I'm like, oh, I want to learn about this too. Or I'll even think I knew a topic very well and we're reading about it. I'm like, I didn't even know that. That I learned something too today. And so that's the biggest thing for me. Homeschooling has definitely played a major part in how our relationships are in our household. Not only is mom teacher, but I'm mom too. And having that understanding can sometimes be a little difficult, but they know we understand now how to separate those two. It has also created a stronger bond in our family because we are with each other, majority of the time, 24/7. So, it really forces us to extend a lot of grace towards each other and have patience with each other. We understand how not to go past someone else's boundaries, understanding this person has a boundary, do not cross it. And with them, having 6 children, they have 5 siblings. Each person is different. A lot of people will be like, oh, they're not socializing. No, they are, because they're all different. They are not all the same. And they have to learn each other, in a way like that. So in this way, it has strengthened our family structure and made our relationships stronger. So we use a lot of tools in our homeschooling family. In our home is our school. So we do a lot of home ec. That's what we like to call it. Some people call it chores. We call it home ec in our home. So we utilize those things in our home and on the outside of our home too. We do a lot of gardening. So we do a lot of working on our home. So in that regard, we utilize our home as a learning opportunity. Outside of our home, we love the library. Whatever the library has going on, we are there. It doesn't even have to be homeschool related. It can just, they bring authors to the library. They have programming for babies, children, and teens. So we utilize all of those resources. And then we also go out into our communities. So if we know anyone who owns a business, we try to learn their trade and things like that. We also utilize the internet. The internet is one of the biggest tools that we use to not only do formal and instructional learning, but to leisurely find things that we're into. My daughter is into drawing. I would love to pay for her to do some drawing lessons, but I gotta know she has some skills. We won't follow some tutorials online, YouTube University, okay? We utilize those things. We've even done Bob Ross videos. We've gotten the paint. He'll tell you exactly the paint colors that you need. We'll order our canvases and we'll follow along just as a little art thing for us to do. So I think those are the biggest tools that we use, most of the tools we use. So my current thoughts on schooling versus homeschooling. is that homeschooling can be superior for most students. You get to personalize how that child is taught. Especially when they get older, you can ask them what they're into. You don't even have to figure it out. They don't have to explore, a plethora of things. They have stuff that they're into or questions that they want answered, and you can kind of build a curriculum off of that. With school, you do get that social aspect, like depending on the school, it's not as social as a lot of people would think that schooling is. But, they do get to be around children their age, which can be, if that's what you're into, you can send your child there. But, I think children being around different age ranges is really great for a child's development. They get to experience babies, if there's a baby in your home, if there's an elderly person in your home, they get to experience what it is to be like with an elderly person. And that really actually mimics the workforce. If that's what you're going for, is your child just to work and just to be around people, that really does reflect society more so than school. So I think homeschooling in general just is superior in that way. One of the myths that I would like to debunk about homeschooling, and follow me here, is that homeschooling students are far more smarter than regular students. I feel as a homeschooling mom in the beginning, I felt a lot of pressure to have my child succeed. You'll see these articles of this boy, he started reading when he was 1, and he was doing pre-algebra when he was 7, and he's now enrolled in Harvard at the age of 16, right? And he was homeschooled. It's just like, oh my goodness, what? That's a lot of pressure. But even though there are a lot of benefits to homeschooling, and you get to do homeschooling to personalize and be unique to your child, which is great, they can still just be on course. And that's okay. That's completely fine. You have a 10-year-old who's in 5th grade. He's reading on a 5th grade level and doing 5th grade math. Is completely fine. That is okay. So that's one of the biggest things for me. Cause I fell into that, that mind game for myself. And I think that's the biggest myth I would like to do. A piece of wisdom that I would like to give to new homeschooling families or families who are interested in homeschooling would be to pace yourself. Pace yourself. Yes, they're young and time flies and you only have this small amount of windows. Someone like to put it, you only have 18 summers with your children, even though that is all true. In the heat of the moment, pace yourself. Know that it will all work out. The little steps that you're taking is going to create this beautiful being that you're going to be so proud of in the end. All those little hurdles and pauses and starts and stops, it all is going to amount to something. You might not be able to see it. I'm still going through it myself. I know, my oldest is only 11, but I know that since the beginning, I've changed to be a better person. My children are benefiting from that. And I wouldn't have changed all of those hurdles and side steps for anything, because it's making us who we are. We're creating these memories. They're going to go back and be like, Mom, remember that summer when we didn't go nowhere because of the pandemic and you turned our house into this fun playhouse and, we didn't even realize it was a pandemic. It's those moments right there. So just pace yourself, Extend grace to yourself as much as you can. And lastly, I think what I like to do is to fill my cup every morning and make sure I take out time for myself in the morning. If it's just even a cup of tea, take a shower. A friend suggested, dancing, and I love that concept. I might adopt that soon. Just, doing something that you like to do. Whether it be 30 minutes to an hour, just find some time in the morning for yourself and then go out and be Superwoman to your family. But just knowing that you did something for you at the top of your day will really keep you going. It's really something that's beneficial. So that's it. Yeah.
Got more questions about homeschooling? Want to hear more from Black homeschoolers? Visit blackhomeschoolquestions.com.